Welcome to Dave's Imaginations. Today we're going to take a look at the Mostarle Cyberpunk Plasma Spider. And we're going to look at an unboxing, and I've assembled this thing, so I'm going to tell you about some of my experiences about how to assemble it and some of the advice and tips I might have, things I did as I assembled it, and then some advice to keep in mind as you do it. So we're going to go through all that right after this. Stay with me. So, as a 50-something nerdy, geeky, sci-fi, fantasy interested guy, my Facebook feed pushes these advertisements of that type of thing at me. One of which was this Mostarle Plasma Spider, Cyberpunk Plasma Spider. And I was going to do an unboxing for myself. I actually have it recorded. I could put it at the end of the video. But really, Mostarle's advertisement in Facebook shows you everything you need to see. I can tell you, and I can run it right here as I talk, I can tell you that the box is nice. It's well packaged. Everything's in there nice and tidy. It has a bunch of these tiny little bags of the tiny little parts. And you'll need to be very careful as you pull those out. They get all over the place. You'll want to organize them. And then there's one of my tips. Organize those bags in a nice open space so you can reach over and find what you need as you do it. So that's an early tip of how to put this thing together. I did put it together. Here you can see it's a super cool looking spider. But it does have, as the promotional material tells you, it has 650 pieces. It's exactly, I didn't count them. There are many, and they're tiny, and they're metal, and they can bounce all over the place, and you're going to lose some. They do have extras. In some things, they have extras. But I found that I had everything I needed to put this thing together. It does also come with pliers and a screwdriver, and occasionally I had thought, it'd be nice if there was a different type of tool that I could use to put this together. But in the end, probably wouldn't have worked anyway. A nice little wrench would have been nice. I'm not sure. They're so tiny to put together that I'm not sure a wrench would really work. I thought magnetized screwdriver, but the screwdriver kind of magnetizes as you touch all those metal parts anyway, so that ended up being fine. It's just tiny. It is tedious as you go through it. Other claims they put in, they repeatedly in their advertisements, there's a promotional material, they say how relaxing and find your inner zen. I could tell you, I was pulling out my hair as I did it. It does, however, you become singularly focused on it as you put it together, as you don't think about anything else than this. And then in that sense, all those other cares are pushed away as you become focused on putting the model together. But it's tedious. It also says that you can do it in 8 hours. I probably took 12 to 14 hours putting this thing together. Now, I did record every single step along the way, and so that might have added some time. I did take a number of breaks. I did over a course of 3 or 4 sittings, but adding that all up, it's hard to believe it would take 12 hours. Hard to believe anyone that was doing it the first time would only take 12 hours to do it. It also says it's 14 plus, and I'd say it'd take a pretty special teenager. If you're a teenager and you put this together, kudos to you. It was hard for me as an adult. It'd be hard for any adult. This is an extremely challenging puzzle. So if 14 plus, certainly you wouldn't want to do it younger than that. I think it would be too confusing on how to do it. I was confused and reasonably intelligent adult. Well, which you'll probably disagree with as you go and watch my further videos. So I do have a number of tips and tricks on how to do this thing. I'll pull up my notes here so you can read them along with me. So this first section I call tips and revelations. And I said I'm reasonably intelligent. However, early on in the video, a number of times I refer to a spider having 6 legs. And it's like, oh man, I know better. They have 8 legs. Very dumb. They have 8 legs. So that was the first thing. The next dumb thing I did was, as I go through the book, it says X8. When it says X8, it means times 8. And I didn't realize that at first. For probably the first 10 steps, I didn't realize that X8 means you needed 8 of those. And here we can look at the step 1. If we look at just step 1 of this, you can see that across the top, it has, you need X8, it says SC2.5-35, and underneath it says X8. Well, that X means you need 8 of them. I didn't realize that at first. And the next thing it says C12, you need X16. Well, that means 16 of those, and 16 of the D2s, and 16 of the N3s, and 8 of the C4s, and 8 of the S2.5s. And so that is what you need to assemble. And then in the image, it says X8, meaning you need to do it 8 times. So this one segment of the leg, you needed to do 8 times. So yes, X8, X4 means times 8 times 4, like 8 of a certain part or a certain assembly. So that was the next dumb moment for me. Then going on to step 3, the end of the leg that has a nut should go at the legs joint. And here's a little video as I go up close and I try to point out. You can see right here the bolt. That bolt needs to be toward the joint. You can't put the bolt at the end because that's ultimately going to not work when you assemble the legs together in the later step. Also, a touch of Elmer's glue can hold tiny washers in place. And this was most relevant in steps 10 and 11. Those sub-assemblies of 10 and 11, they don't pivot flat. And here I'll show you, I got another little video of what I mean. These purpley pieces, they're kind of in an angle. In the image, it makes you think they should lay flat. They don't lay flat. But to lay them, get them to lay just a little bit flatter, I did end up swapping out the bolt that suggested was this SC2-20. I replaced that with the SC2-18. Now that meant that in the later step 37, that this SC2-18 that it calls for, I swapped back out with the S2-20 to use a little bit longer one in that later step, and it seemed to work just fine. Later on, in step 20, it calls for you to attach some springs. Now these springs, I got very frustrated because those springs are way too long, but I didn't realize that you're supposed to arch those springs up. So, and it's a decorative piece and it looks great when it's arched up. Looking at other people's assembled product, yes, arch those up. It looks much better than mine because I ended up cutting mine flat so that they'd fit a little bit closer, which was not correct. I should have left them long and just pinched them together so that they'd bend, right? And that would have been the better way to do it. In step 21, there's wires that just kind of circle, but they kind of look like antenna, and they give some curvature to the overall spider. I didn't know as I did it. I didn't know if there were going to be electricity running through their wires. There's not. They're just purely decorative. Also, the end pieces, the hoops that hook to those wires, they don't tell you to crimp them. They don't use any words in the instruction books. Not hardly. They use the letters, the numbers, and there's all diagrams. But it doesn't show you crimping those end pieces, those hoops to that wire, and you do need to. And I did that later on in my video. In step 29, I use one less washer and move where the wire hoops from those wires, where those wire hoops connect to the whole thing. Because putting all those legs was a little bit tedious. And I found that it just simply was too many parts for me to get that bolt on. So I reduced that by one of the washers and it seemed to work. Next, in step, when you get to step 37, we're back to, that is where I used the longer bolt that I had swapped out for step 20. Another thing I'd point out, and here I can show you, is when you put the power assembly onto the spider where the spider legs are, hooking those, this is one of the parts where I was extremely frustrated. I could not see how I could possibly connect the main spider assembly to the power supply. And this is one of the times where I took an extended break. And over the course of a few days, eventually when I came back to it, I said, oh, well, here, if I just take these brackets off the power supply, attach them to the main spider, then reattach those brackets to the power supply, that is a much easier way to do it. So that is, it's not in my notes here, but that is something that I did. And as I go through this, I have 4 more videos I've produced, I've produced that I take you through each of those individual steps. And as I go into each of those videos, I will state these tips and revelations again, and so that maybe you won't make the same mistakes I made as I did. However, I can say that I did put it together, and I am very happy with it. But there are a couple things, right? There are a couple things after I assemble it. Here, if you watch the fourth video, you'll see the live revelation. That when I put that last piece in and that plasma ball actually works, it was very exciting, very impressive. But I will say that after a course of a few weeks, that plasma ball did stop working. I don't know if the wire is janky and the powers are intermittent, or if there's something about that plasma. I don't know the physics of that plasma ball all that well. If the gas is in there that caused the purpley lightning to jolt from the Tesla coil to the edge of the sphere, if there's something missing, I don't know. I did, as I put it together, there's a plastic piece that holds the bracket to the power supply, and one of those plastic pieces broke for me. Hard to believe that's going to be why that's working, but I will say that after a period of time, the plasma ball did stop working for me. Now, if I move forward to some advice I have as you put this together, I would say there's a lot of pieces, and here I can show you all of my pieces that are laid out. There's a lot of pieces, and you will want to keep those organized so that you can, because as you do, you want to be able to go grab your piece, open it up, and put it together. And I show you how I do that in the videos. The parts are tiny and metal and tend to bounce all around on a hard surface. I would make sure you use some sort of mat. I have a nice mouse pad like mat that I worked on. It was very handy and it worked very well. Mine is black, so it contrasted with the metal pieces very well, that I could see them and I could put them together. You want to keep them, as you pull those parts out, you want to keep them organized. They are tiny, and some of them, the differences are like the bolt, right? 18 millimeters versus 20 millimeters. It's sometimes hard to see. They have different sizes of washers. It's hard to see those. They have different sizes of nuts. Sometimes they're decorative, sometimes they're not. You'll want to keep those in check so that you understand what is what. So keep the parts bag organized. Now, and lastly, as I mentioned before, this model, tedious, hard, but rewarding, right? The harder it is, the more rewarding it is to complete. And this was a great example of that. This was super difficult for me. It was super difficult to put together, right? It says it should take 8 hours. I took more like 12 to 14 hours to do this thing. And I took multiple breaks. And that is one of my pieces of advice here. Allow yourself breaks. So if you have high blood pressure, you're going to want to take your medicine, because this is going to exasperate you. So for that reason, I say allow yourself to take breaks. Give yourself permission to set it aside for a day or two and then come back to it and tackle it. There are certainly aspects to this. Times when you're trying to piece things together, it is just very tedious. So allow yourself time for breaks, time away from it, come back to it, and then you'll finish it up. And when you do, if you do get it done, like I did, you will find it very rewarding in the end. So that's some of the advice. I've put it together, and here I can show you what mine looked like when it was done. I'm very happy with it. Hopefully you will be too. Let me know in the comments. If you purchased one of these and you found anything I said to be helpful, I would appreciate it. Let me know that I helped you out. And if you get it done, let me know that too. I'd love to see a picture of how yours turned out and what your experiences were. Share those in the comments as well. Other people would probably appreciate to hear how yours went. In the next few videos, I'm going to put 4 more videos out that shows exactly the process I did to put it. And I'll be restating these tips and advice as I go along. So hopefully you got one and you got yours to work as well. And hopefully my videos were able to help you out at some point. So if they did, let me know. Otherwise, like, subscribe if you would, please. I appreciate that. And look forward to my future videos where I put this thing together. Until next time, take care. So here we see the box that I received. I unwrapped for Christmas of this year. It comes in a sturdy box off, and it just lifts up, kind of like a shoebox design. piece of styrofoam on top. Set that aside. And then we have the instructions. Here are the instructions. Set that off to the side. And then we get to a box full of parts. Oh boy, look at that. There's the globe. That seems delicate. And then the other compartment has a couple bags of parts. Oh, three bags of parts. And this set came with the pliers. So here we can see it came with 3 bags. Oh, there it is. Ooh, pardon me. There's a screwdriver. I didn't see it fall out. Ratchety one. And some pliers. Let's see. The bags are the bags marked? No, it's inside there. They have the various pieces are marked. So 3 bags worth of stuff. Seem well packaged. And then we have the instructions. Here's another look at the 3 bags that we got. Well, really the entire box, all broken out. I say all broken out, but all the tiny little parts are in individual bags, and it's so handy. I would hate to have each of these bags empty or floating all combined, because you would never be able to figure them out.